Going on, my fellow Jets fans? Welcome to the latest episode of the New York Jets State of Mind podcast, coming at you like I do each and every week at the bare minimum. My name is Malcolm Harper, aka MHJetsFan83. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and YouTube at MHJetsFan83, which is one word, all lowercase. You can find my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. This episode will also be posted on my YouTube channel at MHJetsFan83. Before I get to my thoughts on Super Wildcard Weekend, the latest GM and head coaching search, my thoughts on who I think will be the next general manager and head coach. If you could do me a huge favor and share my podcast with other Jets fans, that would be greatly appreciated, along with my social media accounts. Please hit the like, comment, and subscribe so that my podcast and YouTube channel can grow. With all that said, let's get to my thoughts on all the playoff games from Super Wildcard Weekend. I'm going to go in order. Let's start with the Chargers-Texans. The Texans win 32-12. Justin Herbert throws 4 interceptions, and he had 3 interceptions all year. He just had a terrible game. Let's just call it for what it is. The Houston Texans blew the game wide open in the second half. Next game, let's talk a little bit about the Steelers and the Ravens. The Ravens won the game 28-14. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry ran roughshod all over the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And let's be honest, they didn't have a chance to win, especially losing 4 in a row prior to the playoff game. And get this, Steelers were outran 299-29. Let me say that again. 299-29. Derrick Henry had 186 yards rushing by himself. Now, there are some Steelers fans that want to move on from Mike Tomlin. There was a report from Adam Schefter on Sunday NFL Countdown saying that there was a team that was inquiring about Tomlin in the trade. Let's be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Jets. Enough with the Saturday's games. Let's get to the Sunday games. The Buffalo Bills beat the Denver Broncos easily by the score of 31-7. The Broncos made the game interesting in the beginning with that opening drive touchdown from Bo Nix. They were pretty much playing with nothing to lose, but in the end, the Buffalo Bills dominated with a balanced attack on offense. I was really impressed with the sliding catch by Ty Johnson. Remember that guy, Jets fans? The Bills defense made Bo Nix look like a rookie. And obviously, the Denver Broncos have a long way to go. Okay, next game. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Green Bay Packers by the score of 22-10. Even though the opening kickoff by Green Bay I disagreed with, it didn't matter because even though Jalen Hurts was rusty in the beginning, Saquon Barkley ran for the ball for 119 yards. Jordan Love looked out of sync with the throws that he made, sailing it over the wide receivers' heads. Also, the Packers turned the ball over 4 times as well, which obviously 9 times out of 10, you are not going to win football games that way, turning the ball that many times. Now, the thing that's been going viral is A.J. Brown reading the book on the sidelines, which to me, that was pretty wild. And I knew it was going to go viral, or there probably memes out for it as well. So that goes to show you that the internet always wins. So, and I want to give a huge shout out to the Washington Commanders defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the score of 23-20 on a game-winning field goal that doinked in as time expired. And Jalen Daniels, he is the real deal, y'all. He is it was the Commanders' first playoff win since 2006. And if you follow me on X, I posted a video from Josh Harris and Magic Johnson. And Woody Johnson, please take notes if you're going to be watching that on how to build a winning culture. And the main takeaway that I could say is that Josh Harris basically broke it down into 3 words: talent, culture, and people. He absolutely nailed it with all 3. They both said they picked the GM and the coach, and they stayed out of the way. So the Commanders are going to be going places, and Jalen Daniels is going to be a problem for years to come in the NFC East. That just show you, the Commanders basically showed you how this turnaround can happen with the Jets starting next season. And Woody Johnson just needs to stay out of the way and let the football people and the front office run the organization. It's as simple as that. How hard can it be? So Woody Johnson, please listen to your football people. And last but certainly not least, the Los Angeles Rams defeats the Minnesota Vikings in Arizona because of the LA wildfires. Big, huge shout out to the first responders. Thank you for what you guys are doing for the community. And for the people of Los Angeles, my heart goes out to you guys as well, too. So with that being said, the final score was 27-9. Sam Darnold was exposed for the second straight week. The Rams defense sacked him 9 times, which ties the playoff record for the most sacks in a playoff game. He also fumbled, and the Rams recovered the fumble for a 57-yard touchdown. I felt really awful for him, and he looked overwhelmed and he looked lost in his first playoff game. So the divisional round matchups are all set. This Saturday will be the Texans and Chiefs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC. The Commanders Lions 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox, and that's on Saturday night. On Sunday, we're going to have the Rams and the Eagles at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And the matchup that I'm waiting to see for divisional round weekend is the Ravens and the Bills at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Now, with all the Super Wildcard stuff out the way, let's move to the latest Jets news in regards to the GM and the head coach. Now that Mike McCarthy is officially out as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, if I was the Jets, I would request an interview, but I'm seeing online that the Jets are not interested in Mike McCarthy. Okay, I would still at least give him an interview and pick his brain about Aaron Rodgers. That's what I would do if I were the Jets. And today, the Jets interviewed the 14th candidate for the GM job. It's Green Bay Packers Vice President of Player Personnel. Scratch that. I didn't get his name, but it was the Green Bay player. It was the Green Bay Vice President of Player Personnel. Okay, now let's get to the coach for a second. And let me just say this. This has been on my mind for the last couple of days, and I want to get this out here right now. It really blows my mind that some of you Jets fans out there want Rex Ryan to be the head coach of the New York Jets again. I say no thanks because look at his body of work, especially in the last 4 years as the head coach of the New York Jets. Now, to be fair, those were Aaron Mangini's players when he first got there the first 2 years, when they got to back-to-back AFC Championship games. Connor Hughes of SNY saying that he heard last Sunday that Rex Ryan is completely out. It's not going to happen with the Jets. And usually Connor Hughes is nine times out of 10 is spot on with his sources. Also, did y'all see his response on Sunday NFL Countdown? The response from when asked by Mike Greenberg about Mike Vrabel becoming the next head coach of the Patriots, and he was like, "I'm gonna kick his you-know-what twice a year." That right there tells you all you need to know about Rex. He has not changed at all. And I'm like, dude, just stop it. You're making a complete buffoon out of yourself. And Jets fans, hear me out. Let me ask you this serious question. Do you really want to go through this circus again? I certainly don't. I remember the back sports pages of the New York Daily News where Rex Ryan and Woody Johnson dressed as clowns. What an embarrassment. The national media and the New York media, for that matter, will straight up run with it if he ends up becoming a head coach again. And I can't take it anymore with some of you delusional Jet fans. I'm sorry. I love all of y'all, but some of y'all is just saying this stuff out of emotion and don't look at the big picture. And I'm all about the eye test. And I'm sorry. I'm sick and tired of losing. I'm tired of being a laughingstock of the NFL. Forget about the X and O's for just a second. First of all, we need an adult in the room to hold the players accountable and not have the players walk all over the head coach. We need a true leader of men. And for some of you Jets fans out there that are listening to this, if y'all don't want to hear it, that's just too bad. Because if Woody Johnson's trying to be serious about winning a Super Bowl before his ownership is up, he needs to actually go and take an approach and go a different direction. I don't want Rex Ryan anymore. It's over with. I mean, it was good 15, 16 years ago when he first started, but now it's yesterday's news, and now he's yapping, think he's the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen as well, too. Rex Ryan was the only coach to actually interview for the Jets. All the other openings that out there, they don't want him. That tells you all you need to know. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm just going to be moving on, and let's go to the other thing. that I'm going to talk about. And Rich Samini was on the Turn on the Jets podcast with Will Parkinson. Make sure you follow Will Parkinson as well too. Turn on the Jets is pretty awesome. And he had something very interesting about Aaron Glenn. And he basically said to Will Parkinson, he said, he will get in the faces of the players and the coaches, and he's not afraid of competition. And he said in the last few years, the coaching staff did not have that quality. They tried to be best friends with the players. And to me, I find that to be pretty alarming. No, you cannot have this. No wonder the Jets were undisciplined. It all makes sense now. And here's my thing to all you coaches out here that are listening to this podcast. If you're going to be like that, then why in the world are you coaching? There's going to be conflict when you're a coach. You got to go hold the players accountable. That's the way they're ever going to learn, instead of them making the same mistake over and over again. So I'm sorry. This is the Air Force just coming out of me because I'm so used to accountability when I was in for my 20-year career. That's just pretty much how I feel about it. So let's get to my gut feeling, who I think is going to be the head coach. I think the head coach of the New York Jets is going to be Aaron Glenn. And I'm going to go out on the limb, and I'm going to say that the next GM could be Thomas Dimitroff. I like him as well, too. If you actually listen to his interview with Jake Asman, he knew the analytics in football. So he was the one that ended up drafting Matt Ryan, and they got the Falcons to the Super Bowl. And we all know what happened when the Falcons ended up having that 28-3 lead, and they blew the lead to the Patriots and eventually losing that Super Bowl. So hopefully by either the end of the week or the beginning or middle of next week, we'll at least have the general manager in place. So the general manager actually going to pick the head coach. Okay, also more Jets news. The Jets just signed Anders Carlson and tight end Neil Johns to reserve future contracts. Before I get on out of here, let me go to my favorite part of the podcast. And you guys know exactly what it is that's been following me since day one. That's new follower shout out. As I always said on this podcast, I am a man of the people on this podcast. Each new follower that follows me on X, Instagram, and YouTube, you're going to make sure to get a shout out from me. So with that being said, let me give a shout out to the following new follower on Instagram, ny.jets.chimp. Thank you for following me. I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to a new follower on YouTube, and that's to my boy, Nick Shine, my brother from another mother, at the Nick Shine Show. Make sure you follow his YouTube channel and all of his social media pages as well too. His content is awesome. And last but certainly not least, I want to give a huge shout out to the following new follower on X. His name is at Frankie Vitz, aka Frankie V, the co-founder of U Stadium. He is also a diehard Jets fan as well too. So make sure you follow him on X. Also, he does a phenomenal job with Ryan Sampson and Brian Costello, the Jets beat writer for the New York Post, on the Gangs All Here podcast. Make sure you follow that podcast as well too. Their stuff is pretty awesome as well too. So I make sure to follow that every week. So with that being said, I'm signing off for the night. I cannot thank you guys enough for supporting me on this podcast. And if you're listening to this podcast for the very first time, please do me a favor. Whatever you are listening at and whatever device that you're listening on, make sure you go to X, Instagram, and or YouTube and go to the search box and type my name at MHJetsFan83, which is one word, all lowercase. Again, I will be posting this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. I will also be posting the video version of this podcast on my YouTube page as well too. I'm going to be on next week to recap the latest Jets news. And like I said last week, if there's any Jets major breaking news, especially naming the brand new general manager, hopefully by next week, as I mentioned, I'm going to have a reaction episode to tell you what my initial thoughts on it. So until then, Jets fans, take care. And as always, AETS, Jets, Jets, Jets. See you soon.